bullshits his way through everything we talk about.
So
you are right. I'll give you credit for that.
So what I like about this time, guys, is last time I was on the show. First off, I think the last time I was here, we talked about like the new champion specifically in a League of Legends movie.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing that we
Because
talked about the
World
last
of
time.
Warcraft movie just came out, right? Not too
Right.
long.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was very about it.
Mhm.
And China was all over that shit.
Yeah, China was very excited, and I wasn't. And then I think we segued into. I don't really remember what we segued into.
Hold on. I just thought of a bad joke. I'm gonna say it anyway. I was gonna say China was all over that shit like white on rice, and then I was like, wait, wouldn't they be all over that shit like China on rice?
Legitimate.
Because they like rice.
I'm not gonna touch that.
That's actually not as bad as I thought that'd be.
Well,
It's actually not like really racist, and it's kind of like, but it's like it kind of has a hint of it. It's like a wink. I'm like trying to be racist, but it's not, and you can't call me out for it.
Well, no, it'd be like all over like Americans on hamburgers.
Yeah,
We are all over that. It's not racist. It's fact.
That's what I'm saying. But you're like winking at me like you're trying to be, but you can't.
I didn't wink at you. I didn't wink at you at all. There was no wink there.
This is an audio podcast.
Plus,
so much winking.
Plus, you're not from China, Sam
I'm
Han.
not from China.
Yeah.
So, remember the last time I was on here, though, I made a comment, and it was a rather ingenious comment. And I remember I did the air quotes.
Yeah.
But I was like, we're on an audio podcast, so nobody's going to be able to see the air quotes. So then that's when we came up with the.
Yeah, that was good.
But now I can really do it.
We probably use that at least once a month, at least.
Yeah, we do use that.
Really? My legacy lived on?
Well, we found out it's like a really good way to like relate sarcasm.
Okay.
And, when we had Ernie and he didn't understand sarcasm anyway, it was like putting an exclamation point on it. So that worked out real well.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad you elaborated, because whenever you said you came on last time and said something really clever, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember that.
But then
but then you said, I was like, oh yes, that was. So yeah, in the spirit of that, I want to say that while you were on last time, it was one of our most downloaded shows that we had, and I think you were probably like wildly popular. Wait, wildly popular, and there was literally a flood of emails asking for you to come back. So I'm glad that we were actually able to reschedule this. It was really, really good.
I thought it was forever ago, and I found out you're on episode 105, which was recorded in June.
Wow,
so
that wasn't that long ago.
Almost a year. I know. It's felt like a lot longer than that.
Right.
It really has.
Yeah. But I mean, a year, I guess I was doing something completely different. I guess I was with Paleo Gaming.
Yes, you were.
It was actually
I was shoutcasting.
It was funny because I remember the week after, like, we released it, like the second day after you released it, you're like, I'm not with Paleo anymore. We're like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, you came on with the specific purpose of promoting a company that you were no longer with. That's what ended up happening. What the fuck do we do now? But it turned out all right. It was a good episode.
Like, let's just not invite him back for like a year.
Yeah, we'll let things settle for a year.
So it's settled out pretty good. And now since then, since the dust is cleared and things like that, Paleo Gaming and I we're actually collaborating on a few things.
Cool.
So that's kind of interesting. And you guys wanted to bring me on to kind of discuss some of the things that I'm going to be doing, and which is really neat. And I told the Ever Esports guys, which I'm doing a little repping of, the Ever Esports guys, if they tuned into the show, that and got people to support, that they would get to kind of know, and we're going to kind of release some of the things that we're doing. So this is kind of exclusive, that you guys get to kind of hear it, because the investors and I have been like really, really hard at work, and so now we've got some really cool stuff.
This is gonna be awesome for all the 12 people at home.
Yeah, all of them, all the 12. So yeah, which is kind of neat. But maybe that'll I'll be downloaded a lot.
Well,
Highest downloaded
we,
episode.
we could always hope.
So
It
actually,
did set records.
yes,
Just
yes.
not the ones that are good.
Like a
Not
Razzie.
not the good ones.
Yeah.
The
awesome.
embarrassing ones. So anyway,
That's
with
awesome.
that, Danny or Ever, I guess I'll just call you Ever. I think that's what
Yeah.
people know you as, right?
Yeah, it's no one
So,
knows me. I think even Manders calls me Ever, which is awesome.
oh yeah. By the way, congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a
Double down.
nerve-wracking time. I
Double
almost peed
down
my
on
pants.
that. Congratulations,
Yeah.
dude.
It's good.
Oh, that was like a month ago.
That was a month ago, and she's
Wow.
been very hard at work. Yeah, that's her cosplay over there, as you can see in the back. So it's awesome.
Nice, nice. So with that, for people that don't know who you are, why don't you give us a little? Yeah, it's been like 10 minutes before we said anything about
Yeah.
who you are. We just have a foreign voice on here, but yeah, tell us what you're up to and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, so I started actually casting what it's been almost 10 years, no, 12 years ago now. And I was casting StarCraft 2 and going and visiting Korea and things like that, and in Korean boot camp and playing with the likes of people like TLO and some of the Dignitas guys and stuff like that. It was a really, really cool experience. And then like getting just the environment whenever it was very small, because 12 years ago there wasn't a whole lot of esports around. I think we played at an FX exchange like in Grand Prairie, and like I was playing like Halo competitions, and it's when the very first Smash Brothers came out. And I kind of understood that it would like esports was just going to kind of be this thing as like technology grew, and you know, people in my generation and things like that and younger were going to be more interested in video gaming than.
Well, Danny, for the record, what generation
Sure.
is that?
So I am actually, how old do you think I am? Let's start there.
This game never ends well.
Yeah.
29.
There you go. Actually, that's pretty spot on. So, so yeah, so 29 years old. So that's I mean, that's
Yeah, you're
that's
like
kind
right
of
on-
when it all started.
Yeah, you're like right on the edge of being in my generation, which was
Yeah.
undisputably the best one. It was good that you're close. I'm
So
proud
there
of
you
you.
go. Yeah.
That's better than most,
Yeah.
that are
I'll
further
be
away.
30. Yeah, I'll almost be I'll be 30 this year. So
Hey, congratulations. That's when your
Yeah.
body stops working.
Well, I'm very excited
Just
about
a heads
that.
up. A spoiler alert. The next few
I'll-
years are going to suck dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least something to look forward to, right?
So, yeah, I went out, I kicked a soccer ball and tore both my quads this week.
Okay.
That happened. So be
Well,
ready.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Stay away from soccer balls. And
Yeah,
just
if
stay
you
away
thought
from
getting
soccer
hit in the
balls.
nuts hurt when you were in your teens, wait till your 30s.
And
That
then
shit
get
is
kicked in the nuts.
debilitating. It's like, forget it.
oh dear God.
Papa Smurf, I love it.
I was just saying, be ready. This
I don't think there's
this is gonna happen in the
I
next
don't
few
think there's-
years. Just
I
so
don't
you
think
know.
there's any way to be ready for that.
He's like, I remember like 4 years
Kicked in the
ago.
nuts at 30.
I remember 4 years ago when I was you. I lived a
Okay.
happy-go-lucky life, and then this.
Great. So, following Ever, I'll just know what's like a year and a half into my future at all times.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's
Great.
it's
And
hard
then-
to look this terrible, but you know when you do.
Challenge accepted.
What's funny is once Sam made that realization, you could just see the crippling sadness
he's
flash
like,
across his face.
Like, oh, it's just suddenly pains in my back, my hip.
Sam's like, wait a minute, how old am I? Hello,
Yeah,
I'm young. I
darkness,
feel
my
young.
old friend.
Just turned 28. I'm good.
There you go. You're fine. You got the world by the short and curlies.
I'm gonna feel this good when I'm 40. No big deal.
Hey, it's nothing but a number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the kids that listen to the show are really relating to this.
Oh yeah, they're like, I totally,
They're
yeah.
just loving us talking about our droopy old man balls.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling super old at 18 after I ran that marathon. Oh, so
Man.
My
rough.
lower back is killing me.
I just bought my first pack of cigarettes and porn. Life is fucking hard, man.
Oh man, after 21, it all just went.
My
There's no
parents stopped
reason.
claiming me as a dependent.
It
Life
sucks.
sucks.
That's awesome.
That's what the kids these days are worried about, right? Dependency status.
This is what happened last time, Papa Smurf. You and I got off on this terrible tangent, and we didn't touch League of Legends until like 10 minutes until the podcast was supposed to be over. And I was like, so Bard's a champion, and you're like, ha.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. League of Legends, right. But let's talk about our dependencies.
So, sorry. So, anyways, so that's kind of how I came up through the ranks, and then one day some guy asked me to play League of Legends, and I thought it was a little bit better than StarCraft 2 because you get to play with other people. As you know, StarCraft 2 is a very solitary game. So after that was done, then the whole. I feel like after League of Legends came on, and you guys might agree or disagree with this. Like, I feel like after League of Legends came on, like team esports became really big.
No, I would agree with that. It did kind of pave. I'm going to blow your mind a little bit here. StarCraft has a 2v2 and 3v3 mode.
Yeah, it's not competitive. It's not competitive.
No, it's not. I just wanted to throw that out there just in case you didn't see that in the scroll down menu.
So I just scrolled up. Oh my god!
Holy
League of
shit!
Legends-
I've been playing this for years. It's right
League
there.
of Legends has like a 1v1 scenario too if you just pick Tryndamere or something like that.
Yeah, what it's like Nunu and win.
Yeah, there you go.
The training thing against that Teemo dummy
Yeah,
can never
high
beat
quality
that guy.
gameplay.
High quality, yeah, very high quality. So then I started casting League of Legends, and we did the whole. I had a company called Darkwave Gaming for a little bit that was just strictly League of Legends. And we kind of pigeonholed ourselves a little bit, and we ended up being one of those organizations that had like 5 teams. That's impossible to manage. It was just like this reoccurring roster of guys, and you guys kind of know how that is.
So were you guys trying to like break the challenger scene or something, or what were you trying to do?
Yeah, so whenever we were Darkwave Gaming, like I tried to actually create a challenger team, and back then it was a little bit like the lines were a little bit blurred as to how you got into LCS. Like there wasn't like, it was like a weird kind of who's who. You got to know somebody to hop in. There wasn't like a open qualifier or anything. And it was only until we closed shop that Riot was like, there's going to be open qualifiers. You can get your teams in. I was like,
I can see that announcement.
your
He was
timing,
like, all right,
man."
guys, we don't have a clear destination here. We're going to have to close the doors. Everybody has their shit in like cardboard boxes.
Yeah,
And they're walking
everybody-
to their car all sad and dejected. And like right as you close it, put the lock on the door, and you're like, it's been fun, guys. We're going to ship out resumes. If any of y'all need a reference, I got you. And then announcement comes like 3 days later, and you're just like, motherfucker!
That was exactly how it was, though, because like I told the guys, I was like, look, if you need anything, just, and it was very solemn. I was like, if you need anything, please just message me. You know where to find me. I'll just be crying a little while. And then people were like, okay, thanks, Ever. You've been a really great manager. You've been a great owner. This has been the best organization I've ever been a part of. And I was like, oh man, that really means a lot. Log off. And then like 3 weeks later, it was like, hey, everybody, open qualifiers is here to stay. What are you part of LCS?
All those guys had already been approached by another team and had made it into the LCS.
Yeah, they were absolutely gone. And I tried to message some of them, and I was like, hey, you might. They're like, oh, sorry, we're with another team. And I was like, it was very disheartening. So I went on a hiatus after that. As you tend to do when you're broke up with.
I can see, like, I went to Tibet
Soul searching.
I climbed
Yeah.
this mountain in a burlap sack, and I met a man with a long beard who taught me about life, and now I'm back to coaching esports. And
That's pretty
all
much
it
it.
took was he told me about 2v2 and 3v3. And then I
That
was
was
like,
it.
what the fuck is
I was
this?
back. I was back. Papa Smurf has got it. So.
Get the fuck out of my temple.
Dear God.
Sam's like, this is terrible.
I got to ask him
Always
one
terrible.
question, and he told me to get the fuck out of his temple.
So that was pretty much it. And then, I started doing the content creation stuff. I started doing the What's Clever with Ever, which is coming back, Sam. It's coming
Nice.
back.
Good.
The What's Cover with Ever stuff, and then I carried on a tradition for a little while with the fight nights, and then I got really kind of irritated with trying to like chase down teams and like getting them to show up.
What was your problem
then-
that the first two rules were that nobody would talk about fight nights?
That was pretty much it. I was
Yeah.
like, no one talks about it.
It's hard to
And no one,
promote.
no one did. I never really got down the niche to that.
It's like, I think the first two rules, guys, it might be counterproductive. We really need to look into these first two.
You know what? though?
Kind of
Here's the
fucking
thing.
us here.
Everybody told everybody about Fight Club. That's how there were so many people.
Yeah, I was gonna
But-
say, if clearly people aren't following the first two fucking rules, because how the
But he-
fuck, you know?
But he even says that he's like, clearly you people have been breaking the first two but like if they wouldn't have broken the first two rules of Fight Club, then he wouldn't have had an army of people to spoiler alert blow up
I
all
don't
those
think
credit cards.
I don't think you have to spoil alert a movie that's like 2 decades old. I think you pretty much you either have watched it at this point or you haven't, and that's it. Like,
Yeah,
So
I
that's
give
it,
it 5
Sam.
years for a movie.
That's it, Sam. That's what I've been up
That's
to. And now I own Esports, and we're branching out into we've got a League of Legends team that actually just won the third round finals for the Reverie Esports Cup. They won
Cool.
ESL the week before that. Couple of, just fantastic guys. They got a coach that's just kicking ass. His name's Hood Jigsaw. We actually scooped him up. You know what? I forgot where we scooped up Hood Jigsaw, but we stole him away from Team Divine. Finally, some very phenomenal players, super committed. Marlins, Vile, Serrano, Crypt, Heat, Salt, Thin Mints, Loams. I know I'm probably missing somebody. Simbo, awesome group of guys. And then we have an Overwatch team that's led by a guy named Kiexo. I actually stole him from Paleo Gaming very sneakily. I scooped him up, and he's been coaching our Overwatch team, which we played in Overwatch Contenders with some very steep teams. We made it up to round 4 in Overwatch Contenders, so a little bit of a big deal. We were right there next to Evil Geniuses. I don't know if it had anything to do with the fact that we're called Ever Esports, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
Nice.
And then now we're branching into content streamers and possibly a Smash player to go into some of the events here in Dallas.
did Thin Mints go with that because Peanut Butter Patties is taken? Because that's a
I don't know.
way better cookie.
Samoas?
Yeah, I was about
Hello?
to say Samoas.
That
Hello?
has pineapple in it. Not pineapple,
Oh.
coconut.
Yeah. See, you don't even know what's in it.
No,
You've never even
coconut's
had the
fucking
cookie.
gross,
It's delicious.
man.
What?
I
Tell
like-
that to the
kinda-
people of
I kind of
Hawaii.
agree, but it's still the Samoas are amazing.
I'll
Especially
tell
as
you
a
this,
kid.
good.
I don't
You-
care about coconuts, and I love Samoas.
Well, you guys remember like Almond Joy's got nuts, Mounds don't? You remember that? I was like, which one doesn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
coconut in it?
You know what's funny is
Turns
every
out
time.
both do, and I'm gonna buy a different candy bar because that's fucking gross.
But you know what's stupid about that is every time I see an Almond Joy, I sing that stupid song because I want the ones with the nuts. I'm like, Almond Joy. Oh, that's the one I want.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you this. I'm gonna blow your mind again, second time. The one that has almond in the name has nuts
Yeah.
in it.
It's got to be a hint, right?
I mean, it's right fucking there. First word, Almond Joy.
Oh my god.
The other one, Mounds. What's in there?
Mm.
Not an almond. That's what.
You know what? I
That's
did
in the
forget
other
a guy. I forgot what guy, by the way. He's in the chat, and his name is Pacey, and he's my top laner that's been in China for a long time, Sam. But you're not Chinese.
I didn't know we were doing international trips or whatever. You failed to mention that when you approached me to coach and or play in all of your shit.
You didn't want to go to New Zealand, so I didn't ask you.
The fuck! I didn't want to go to New Zealand. We'll stop right there. That is a bold-faced fucking lie. I totally would have gone to New Zealand.
What about Austin? We went to Austin. You could have came to that.
Yeah, I could have.
We were a DreamHack. Why didn't you?
The invite must have gotten lost in the mail.
Email. It probably went to the junk folder.
Yeah, that's probably it. It's probably spam.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, if you guys ever decide to do anything in rural Missouri, I can hook you up.
Yeah, we'll be right there.
I think I'll have to like redneck it up a bit and do maybe esports ultimate fighting.
Yeah.
So that way
that.
after you lose, I'll find
totally
some burly
watch that.
dude from the crowd to beat the ass of that guy.
Yeah.
And then there you
We can
go.
call it fight night.
Call it fight night. Sells itself.
Hey.
Nobody will talk about what happened. It'll be good.
Only everybody will talk about it.
No, I actually went to a ultimate fighting event in Cassville, and it was as you would have expected from super small town ultimate fighting.
The ring was made out of cows.
No, it was actually
Leather.
the ring was hardcore as fuck.
Strapply men holding each other's arms.
If there's anything that rural Missourians can do, it's build a cage to keep terrifying things in. That's what we do.
I don't know how to take that.
It's
really.
I mean, dude, we're very mechanical in that we're inclined to do things. You ever see those redneck trucks that have a gun built onto them?
Definitely
or,
in Texas. I've seen a lot
those
of
guys
those.
that build their own firearm and it's like a fucking cannon that
Never seen
somehow
that.
attaches to your arm. I'll show you later. I got pictures. Anyway, my dad builds his own guns, for Christ's sakes. I
that
grew
sounds
up.
dangerous.
No. Okay, so true story. My dad is a subscribed member of Varmint Hunter magazine. That's real.
That's a publication?
Yes. Yeah. And for a while there, he owned the world record for longest varmint kill with a prairie dog at over a mile away.
Wow.
And then it got crushed.
Okay.
By somebody else, shot one longer. But he said the hardest part about making that shot is that you have to find a place where you can see a prairie dog a mile away.
Back up.
And that's the hard part.
And you have to find the prairie dog.
Wait a second. Back up. Mm-hmm. There were two Missourians chasing down one prairie dog.
No, you failed to see what's going on here.
Okay, I guess.
Death falls from 250. The bullet shoots and drops 250 feet. You're shooting artillery. The prairie dog has no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
it's just out there bobbing its head out of a hole or something.
Sure.
And then you see a camcorder kind of shaky hand video of the spotter who's I see one. Because they're a farmer's nuisance. Farmers pay people to go hunt prairie dogs because they tear up all the pastures and stuff.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So they want them killed. And so my dad's hey, you know what's fun? Whack-a-mole with high-powered weaponry.
From a mile away?
From a mile away. And so it's trick shooting prairie dogs, basically. And so, he built a gun that the barrel sits on a 2.5 degree incline to the scope. So when the bullet, you aim down the scope and the bullet goes up 250 feet and then falls onto the target like artillery. So the prairie dog has no idea what is happening and then it explodes. There's nothing left. It just poof, and it's done, right?
That makes sense.
Very instantaneous. Not a lot of suffering there. Just done.
That's
it
positive.
No longer exists. So, that being said, that was my dad's sport for a while, and that's kind of where I grew up. So naturally, when it comes to building things or perfecting stupid ideas, we can do that real well. But so I was watching this cage fight, and in this cage fight, there's not a whole lot of like willing cage fighters that are like MMA trained in the area. So it's usually like one guy who thinks he's kind of a badass signs up for the event, and they pair it with another guy kind of based on his experience, or maybe he's from a gym, I don't know. But they paired this fat kid, and he looked like he was going to do pretty good because he wasn't very tall, but he was meaty, right? And you're like,
Okay.
that meaty little son bitch, he could probably throw a punch, right? He'll be all right. And then they're like against his opponent, who's like 6'9", weighs exactly the same amount as the fat kid, but it's all muscle. He looked like Goliath, just ready to murder this kid. And, they talked about his life, and it's like, he was down the wrong path, he lived on the streets, he used to be blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is like a Kimbo Slice's backstory. What the fuck is this guy doing? That fat kid's going to get his head ripped off, right? And they're like, he found Jesus. I'm like, okay, good. He won't kill the kid then. He's at least
He's not gonna
he
kill
found
him,
Jesus. So like midway through this fight, he's kind of like tapping him, like, hey man, I don't know what I'm just gonna beat you up, but I'm gonna try not to end you, is what it looks like.
Sure.
Then the kid like way overextends on a punch, and he just knees him in the face,
Oh,
and then
Boom.
like, bam, 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 fight over, right? And you're just like,
Sure.
this is brutal. I don't know why that story linked into what we were talking about.
yeah. I'm like, where are we talking about?
I'm not even
I don't
sure.
remember.
It doesn't matter. It didn't matter. That's where it ended up. And for that fat little kid, it didn't end well.
No, I
Like,
wouldn't imagine.
Like the invite I got from Ever to go to New Zealand. It didn't
Oh,
end
okay.
well.
Yeah.
so
well,
now
I mean,
we're
that's in
back.
your junk mail. That's in your junk mail.
Ah,
Check it.
Okay.
So, talking about League of Legends, I guess we should have some productive conversation.
So I wanted to ask you guys about something.
Okay.
Okay.
Because today, like, I noticed that, like, I was going to work, and I'm, plugged into all these different YouTube, like Red Mercy, who Red Mercy is, and Panzer Dragon and stuff like that. So I tune into all those guys, and I guess they released and they released new champion
Yep.
today.
Yes.
The Khan, I guess. So originally, I thought that have you seen this, Sam, or are you looking it up right now?
I saw the leak, so I
Okay.
don't know his full kit yet.
I can tell you.
The thing came
Alright,
out
let's
like
hear it.
Benefit
shortly
for you.
thereafter the leak.
Yeah.
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 So I only saw the leak, and that was it.
So,
Oh, okay, well.
So originally people were saying that he is a Darkin, and the other Darkin is Aatrox,
Yeah.
which is garbage.
Yeah.
I bet everybody can hear the plane. So.
No, I can't actually. You're
Oh,
good.
okay, great.
Just go nuts.
So he's not actually a Darkin. I guess his weapon is a Darkin. Like, it has the soul of a Darkin imbued in it. So he's got this really cool passive where if he kills ranged champions, then he has different, a bit like bonuses to kill monsters, and he becomes a jungler. And
nope, wait. You're way off right now. So I'll just help you out.
Is that incorrect?
No, well, it's incorrect. He's a jungler anyway. That's the intention, is that he's going to be a jungler. But the idea is you're half right. If he kills ranged champions, he gets blue souls. The
Right.
blue souls, with enough of those, he can transform into Shadow Assassin.
Right.
Khan. Oh,
Yeah.
God, people are going to go, Khan! I know that already.
So
Anyway,
I guess
but
that's
he'll
the
go
part.
into Shadow Assassin. If he kills melee champions, he transforms into Darkin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but a lot of people are saying that. So, like, Red Mercy was saying that, like, if he, like, in that situation, he becomes more of like a top laner, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he becomes a top laner. So if he's Shadow Khan, then he's jungler. If he's Darken Khan, he's top laner.
Okay, so here's the why behind that.
Okay.
If you go Darkin, then you get a bonus to your Q that does % health damage against all enemies.
Okay.
And if you also get a bonus to like your W that gives a knock up as well as a super slow.
Yeah.
Which, that's great for
Jungle Kit.
imagine like small Scion Q and
Right.
more instantaneous, right? So
Yeah.
that's like, again, you're into the top lane, right?
Yeah.
And then if you go Darken, the last buff you get is that your ult deals a percentage of max health again and heals you. So you get
Got it. Yeah.
tankier and do more percent health damage.
Did
So,
you see how much how much health he gained after doing his ult?
I did not. I have not really
It's
I looked into it while I was at work, and then people started asking me legal questions, so I had to answer them.
legitimate.
But
Wait,
Legitimate,
hold on,
probably.
hold on. New champion. Excuse me.
Fine.
Pardon me. Yeah, I know. I was sitting there and I was doing some contracting work, and I'm like sitting here and I'm like looking over here. I'm like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Like I'm just like listening to Red Mercy. Like, this people are calling me like, hey, millions of dollars. And I'm like, oh yeah, Darkens. They're like, what?
Hey, you're still getting divorced, but I'm gonna read this.
But the positive part is League of Legends is getting a new champion, so that's a good thing. No, so that's pretty cool. Like I'm excited. I'm always excited whenever League of Legends does something interesting, like a Nidalee or a Jace or like a Gnar, where like your champion turns into another thing. I'm just not excited that he's a Darkin because Aatrox was a super disappointment.
Well,
to
I
be
think
honest,
what they're
looking
probably
at the kit really quickly, it looks like this is what Aatrox should have been.
Right.
Well, and they said they were gonna rework Aatrox into not being balls.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is like the start of the Darken resurgence where we'll actually get some.
Because there's 4.
I can't remember all the mythology. I kind of got burnt out
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, this is gonna be so cool, and I'm like, oh, this is not cool.
I'm always I feel like Riot has a lot of things to do with the League of Legends lore, and it's just like it's one guy, and he's like got an office way in the back of Riot, and like he just hangs out in there by himself, and he's like, oh boy, this is gonna be so interesting. And then he reports to one guy that like reports to the balance team, and he like comes in there and he's like, hey Greg, I've got an idea. And they're like, what do you want, Tom? And he's like, I've got this thing, it's called the Darkens. And they're like, sure, Tom, give it to me. And
sounds racist, Tom.
Tom, I'm not gonna lie to you. Sounds like a PR nightmare for Riot.
Jim tried that with the whole White Knight champion, and it didn't test well.
It did not do well.
He's the natural enemy of the Darkens, and turns out people didn't go for it. They really didn't.
Look, we're not going to give Graves a cigar, but you think we're going to let you guys take Darkens and his passive is against Lux?
Yeah, turns out him turning into a ghost didn't test well. People didn't like that.
I'm surprised Haunting Nocturne got through.
You got one more chance, Tom, and then you're fired as shit. Throw you out on your ass. You come up with that shit again, Tom.
You know we're still getting a lot of flack from Annie, right? Like you're aware of this, right? We've talked about this.
So anyway, back to this dude. Yeah, so like we've talked about how a lot of percent health damage that naturally kind of sweeps well towards top lane if you go Darken mode. Yeah. But if you go Shadow Assassin mode, it's intended to make you better at diving. So you lose any kind of hard CC you've got, but you gain a bunch of movement and soft CC kind of works, and it's a bunch of damage, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, your Q you don't get shit, and just like Darken form doesn't get shit on his E, but the Q is still the Q. It's the same. The W, it actually a shadow casts the ability, and then you can move during the cast.
Yeah, because I guess that's a knockback to the Black Hand, which is what Zed is in. Because I guess they're enemies. They're enemies. Right. See, again, I'm with Tom. Okay, I go and I read Tom's work. I'm like, yeah, the more lore is really interesting. And then I go in and try to talk to my League of Legends guys. I'm like, hey guys, did you know that Gnar has like a twin? And they're like, yeah. So we're running a practice. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Who cares? But yeah, so but I guess I'm concerned because again, like whenever I saw Aatrox and like there was like all this mystery behind him and like people were like throwing like out all these theories, like they blow up Jax's picture and Aatrox would be in the back looking all like solemn and cool, and then like he came out and they're like, oh, his ultimate makes him useless from a little bit further away. Like,
well, I mean, okay,
man,
so
good.
To be fair though, like everybody's been floating this concept that Jax is a Darkin, and I think we can finally just say no, he's not, because they kind of definitively with this said that the Darkin is embodied in the weapon, right? So Aatrox is a sword, and they've said that before, like he is a sword, right? And so like Aatrox is a sword. But that sword has clearly taken over the body of whoever the fuck was using it.
So maybe Jax was. That's why he doesn't have his original weapon. Yeah. He has a lamppost.
So what dipshit
See, I love it. See what Sam is saying? Like, I'm tuning into. Like, Papa Smurf is still talking about statistics. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Horseshit.
Like,
you two are full of
Tom and I get lunch every now and then.
So, like, okay, you're talking about badass weaponry is like a dark god or demon weapon. What demon is gonna be like, I want to be a bent fucking lamppost? Like, that guy's not getting out of hell. That guy's not going anywhere. They're like, Charlie.
That's why he has a lamppost, because he can't get his original weapon, or else he turned Darkin. Yeah, he wants to be a white knight.
Well, I thought it was because Jax was so proficient and he was winning all the Summoners Rift tournaments that to make it easier, he switched to I can fight with anything. It's kind of a dick move where he's like I can fucking
no. He was actually penalized by the league in the original lore, and they're like, hey, you're too good, you can't use weapons, and he's like, oh, I'll just use this fucking lamppost. And they're like, oh,
what a random ass weapon too.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, that's what I'm saying. But there's not going to be like
around mop bucket. No.
Yeah, but there's not going to be like a darkened lamppost. Like, who the fuck would pick that up?
No, his original weapon was a darkened weapon. Like,
I could go for
ridiculous, like spear or bow staff or something.
And that's a theory,
what I'm saying. You're like, okay, great. I could go for this weapon rack of demonic weapons. Has a sword on it. Okay, I'm gonna pass. What about this badass looking scythe? No.
No, it was taken away from him. That's why
it was taken away.
Maybe this lamppost. Oh yeah, that'll be great in the dark.
But what a random ass thing. Like they're like, all right, Jax, what are you gonna get? And he's like looking around the room. He's pot, like ladle, like what? Yeah, all right, Jax, you got 10 minutes. He's like, he's like going outside finding sticks and stuff. He's like, oh, this will never work. Lamppost, and how the fuck did he get it out too? Those weird ass
3-fingered hands. Turns out he's a Ninja Turtle.
I know. I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that.
Jax is
he's a rejected Ninja Turtle.
Do you know that Gladiator Jax is a banned skin in China?
Really? Why?
I don't know. Maybe they don't believe in gladiators.
Well, no. Like China has a lot of
against Russell Crowe.
Well, no, they had like a lot of things like you can't like
can't do skeletons.
Yeah, you can't depict skeletons. You can't like tobacco's a big thing, and that's why Graves lost his cigar. And there was like a couple other things like that they couldn't do in China because of like different
cultural stuff,
cultural rules and things.
I'm seeing in you guys chat that apparently Varys' bow is a darkened weapon.
Okay, I could buy that.
Yeah, I could definitely because it's being taken over.
That actually, that makes a lot of sense. His lore actually makes sense.
Yeah, like some of the champions do have good lore,
and you said there were
shit lore.
You said there were 4.
I read 4, but you guys chat says 6.
So 6. Okay. Well, like if it was 4, then we're done because we've got sword, bow, scythe, and lamppost.
The lamppost is not.
It's a lost weapon of Jax. Don't you understand?
The janitor's mop bucket.
That's 5 and 6 is mop and bucket. Those two guys have to work together.
Throws the bucket.
Those guys have to work together to clean up all the bloodshed from the other guys. They're more of a support crew.
Support crew. They clean up
It was like,
after Baron.
you guys made a horrible mess. Here, let me.
Oh, they should totally make like a janitor Katarina skin. That'd be
That
pretty
would
cool.
be awesome. That would be. Wait, why Katarina? Is it because you like
'Cause
Katarina?
she cleans up.
She cleans up fights, or it could be a janitor, Master Yi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a
So
good
there's
one too, because then you'd have
Because
the mom.
Assassin.
because he's garbage. Got it.
That was good. That's good.
Got it. Yeah, you're welcome. So that was the other thing I wanted to talk about, and then I wanted to chat with you guys about franchising a little bit and get
Sweet.
into a realm that I've been having to deal with quite a bit frequently. So what do you guys think about?
McDonald's or?
Oh yeah,
Ever
All
McDonald's.
McDonald's forever. Yeah, so I've been dealing with a lot of people talking about franchising and getting into esports. A lot of non-endemic investors that literally are just emailing me like crazy, asking things like, how do we get involved? How do we get involved? And what's really cool about all this is that it's happening. And so there's going to be a situation very soon, I think within the next 5 to 6 years, where people like us will kind of be going to stadiums. And it's not going to be just, there's one in California, there's one in New York. I feel like there's going to be stadiums around the area, around the country.
That's what Blizzard's doing right now, right?
Yeah. So I'm really excited. And I think that Tencent will probably do something likewise with Riot, because I know every time, whenever I would listen to Travis Gifford.
Hold on. That's
go ahead.
like that's 50 Cent's little brother.
Yeah. No, it's his big brother. No, it'd be his little brother, Tencent. Yeah.
Not as famous though.
Sorry, that was a terrible joke. I couldn't not do it. Like, okay, please continue. Wait,
Uh-oh.
you're muted.
Oh no. Yeah,
We
I
lost
can't hear
him.
you.
He looks like he can hear us.
Back.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
All right, there it is.
Yeah,
All right,
looks
welcome.
like my thing came out the back. Anyway, so not all these non-endemic people are calling, and so A, what's cool is that it's happening, and we'll get to see it. But then B, what's also happening is I think a lot of these sponsors showed up too late. I think a lot of them showed up way too late to the party.
Yeah.
Because I think Tencent just bought this. They bought the rights to like these broadcasting stations and whatnot, like in China, and which are like have a lot to do with esports. And then they just invested like they just took on a bankload of like $3.5 billion to invest in their like electronics mobile entertainment industry, which has Riot in there. So it's like they're getting like, you can just kind of tell that there's just this injection of money that's about to go into Riot.
Yeah, the scene is crazy. I mean, I feel like you keep seeing it like esports, like, oh, it's booming, and now it's gonna boom again. Like every year, it's boomed a little bit, or maybe not every year, but yeah, it's about to get big. And you saw it like with all these NBA teams like investing in all these like all the LCS teams, whether they were really involved or not was a different question, I think. But now, especially with the franchising that Riot's doing, I think it's really igniting the flame under everyone's butt and getting attention.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. So I talked with Dallas not too long ago. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the baseball team, the Diamondbacks. Okay. And they were talking. There was this guy, and he was like, so tell me a little bit more about esports. And I'm always really hesitant to tell people about esports with like as much knowledge as I have, because I'm like, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to have resources that I don't have, and then you're going to beat me to the punch on the thing that I'm trying to do. Which is kind of a shitty way of also like not like, because I'm always like, I'm an esports enthusiast. I just want to grow the scene. But then like a little part of me is like, yeah, but I kind of Like I've been
Yeah,
pioneering
yeah,
this thing.
yeah.
So, so he was talking to me about it, and I was telling him, I posted in my Twitter, I posted this at the Clever Ever. I posted this thing that showed like the progression of esports, and it was like, how it started out the basement, and then, Seoul, Korea, and then this last year it was like the Staples Center. So it's like had this like concurrent viewer of like it went like 8, 13, 22, and like 43. So it's like growing 15% every
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So, and I showed him this, and he was like, wow, that seems like an awesome way for sports organizations to promote their brand in the off season. And I was
Oh,
like,
on the off season.
shit. Yes, that actually sounds amazing. I mean, think about that. So, like, you watch, the Mavericks or whatever Missouri plays in, and you watch them. And I just knocked Wise Papa Smurf, and he didn't even catch it. And then so the Cardinals, yeah, there it is. It's the Cardinals, right? That's you guys have
Yeah,
baseball.
St. Louis is I like the Royals, so you can
Okay,
knock the Cardinals.
All right, Cardinals. I'll go after the Cardinals. So the Cardinals play their season, and then like they're not doing anything. They're getting ready for drafts and stuff like that. Esports is constant. So around the time that they're slowing down, they could be catching a new audience, and I think that's what's going to end up. I think that's what's going to end up happening is because that EU team FC or FHC, what is it?
Oh,
What
Schalke.
was
FC.
yeah,
FC.
yeah.
Whatever.
So I think the Europe soccer clubs are getting very
Yep.
interested.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that the Miami Dolphins, their investing organization, like hopped into the mix into the Overwatch contenders. The
Oh, okay.
76ers are part of NRG now. So it's like everybody, and I also don't want to hurt the feelings of like Noah Winston or Steve Arnett or anything, but these non-endemic esports teams have a lot more money. And so I think that we're going to sadly see teams like Team Liquid and like Immortals and like NRG and like these crazy kooky esports names. I think those are going to end up going away.
Yeah, but I think what's
Hold
gonna
on,
end up happening.
you really feel like Immortals is going to take like whenever they did the interview video about franchising, they specifically included TSM and Immortals.
That doesn't guarantee spots. Like when
Well,
you
I know
talk
it
to
doesn't guarantee
no.
spots,
If
but it's
you
a pretty
talk to
strong
all those guys,
implication.
they are all worried. Like yes, so the thing is, Riot has ultimate say of what happens, which is good or bad depending on whether you believe in Riot or trust Riot. But I believe they're gonna care about their player base. Like a brand like TSM, they're not gonna get rid of because how angry would people be, right?
Right.
Well,
As long as
okay,
Reggie does an
so
okay job pitching,
well,
he'll
you're
be fine.
right, but I mean that's the thing though. Like everybody's brand loyal to the top 6. It's the bottom 4 that nobody truly gives a shit about. And even though Team Liquid is now kind of a shit bag of a team, there are a lot of people that have a lot of Team Liquid shit, and they're
Yes.
across esports. They are an esports team. Yeah, no, they're not the 76ers, but that's Dignitas,
Yeah, yeah.
and
But I think what's
Dignitas is
gonna
an esports team, and they're not using the 76ers brand.
But what ends up happening is like you can't just have like the Miami Heat come in and just take a spot away from the LCS. I think what's going to end up happening is they will be like they're with FlyQuest or C9.
Yeah. FlyQuest.
FlyQuest. So they're with FlyQuest. So they're going to take over the name FlyQuest or buy them out. And if they can work with FlyQuest and with FlyQuest and Miami Heat together to put their pitch and give a good showing to Riot, being like, we care about the scene. And FlyQuest is a bad example because I think they're not going to make it. But like maybe C9,
Right.
like C9 cares, Jack cares. This is what they're doing. They're healthy for the scene. But I don't think any single sports brand, traditional sports brand, can actually just make their way into it because unless they have a real backing that
Yeah.
Riot actually believes in, like you care about our scene and the esports scene and League of Legends
Well,
scene.
dude, as much as Riot bends to the community, it would be a PR fucking nightmare to delete a lot of these like major brands that people believe in. I mark my words. TSM's not going anywhere. C9 is not going anywhere. And maybe I feel strongly about Immortals, not because they're perennial or they're some kind of like everybody loves Immortals. No, it's not that. It's that the players have talked about what a great experience Immortals has been. There's been no issues with the management. They
No
treat
one's
their
good.
players appropriately, and they care.
Yeah,
And
no one really does a
they
good job.
perform well to generate enough brand equity. And they're across esports. And I think the same thing is true of Team Liquid. But it would be really
Yes.
fucked up if Team Liquid gets booted out of the LCS because they don't have enough brand recognition, simply because Team Liquid's problems are the result of not having a franchising system. Because they like. So let me. I'll let you take off with that, but let me set the stage here. The problem that you run into with like Team Liquid in particular is they had a season where everything was going to shit. The team morale was floating in the toilet. It's just a mess. And they had a player who they needed to bench, but they couldn't afford to bench because no matter what, you're going to lose without him. But you have to be able to fix his mental issues as per that whole like horrible documentary they put out, like "Look How Shit Our Team Is" documentary, where they kind of knifed their own players. Well, I mean, realistically,
marketing genius.
Here's the thing: it was like it appealed so hard to everybody because it was that level of dirt that you want to see, and like, yeah, your team did terrible, and this lets people know what the fuck's going on. But at the same time, you are throwing all of your players under the bus. Like, there is nothing to make your players look less marketable and shittier. Like, you're going to sell Dardoch anyway. You're going to get him off your team because you have to. So why not just make him look like dog shit before you sell him? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that's an aside. But I mean, here's the thing though. Team Liquid had fan service. They've been a perennial performer. They tried to bring in Dardoch. It killed their whole team's atmosphere. And that was quite clear. But they can't replace him because if they lose, they go to relegations. So they have to take a season having these problems that are literally unfixable. Whereas if they had a franchising system, they could go, okay, we made a mistake. We need to bring somebody else in to fix the environment of the team. And we can do that and let them develop and lose this season and then make a better next season. Well, you can't do that. That's the problem. Is like you can't afford to lose this season because then you're just not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And your investment shit. So anyway, go ahead.
So we have to take it a step back whenever we talk about franchising, because whenever you talk about franchising, you're talking about non-endemic esports and esports combining, where you need the brand recognition and the know-how and the knowledge of esports, and then you want the marketing, the staff, the business ethics, and the business acumen of non-endemic esports to inject their money within esports to grow the organization as a whole. So a couple of things will happen whenever that happens. Whenever you start sitting in boardrooms and talking to investors and things like that, they already have brand recognition, right? If Jerry Jones from the Dallas Cowboys with fuck you money sits at a table with Reginald at TSM and sits down and he's like, I want to invest in TSM. The first thing he's going to ask is, I want to invest in TSM, but I want so much ownership and I want something out of TSM aside from the fact that you'll be producing esports revenue, which is about this big compared to NFL revenue, which is about this big. I think the revenue that the Dallas Cowboys grossed last year was something like $634 million versus the annual gross revenue of esports, which is projected as a whole, will increase to $234 million. So one team, 634, all of esports 234 or 264. It's a very large gaping difference, right? So if those guys, 76ers, Miami Heat, the Boston Royals, I mean, whoever, you just pick them. sit down at the table with these esports people, and the esports people want to come to the table and want a part of that money, they're going to have to give up certain things. So you're not going to see large changes in the scene. Like TSM's not going to go away necessarily, but you might see TSM start to gravitate towards whatever sports team has kind of purchased them.
He might be like TSM Cowboys or something like that.
That's right. So you might see like low mid the Royals or something like that, and then you start to see
that would be okay.
Yeah, so you'll start to see the TSM.
Actually, it seems like TSM would be more of a Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
You know.
Yeah.
And see, here's
like
the thing.
Patriots or something.
And see, here's the thing too. The endemic esports people are always going to know that they don't speak the lingo of esports. So we've done a pretty good job in esports of kind of segregating ourselves and kind of creating this biome of our own system.
I've got it.
Yeah,
You ever watch the HBO series Deadwood?
Yes.
No.
Okay, in season 2 of Deadwood, that's the point at which they realize that the U.S. government is going to annex all of the area. And now there's like this big ass issue of, well, how are we going to set ourselves up to where we're owned in the best possible way?
Right.
You know, because we can't continue operating the way we are. The environment's changed, right?
Right.
And
sure.
esports right now is basically like, a praying mantis, and now, you know, birds have been introduced into the scene.
Yeah.
So like, while the praying mantis was a badass bug, it can't stand to like a falcon.
Well, okay,
You know,
but this is the issue. You have a dictator, right? It's a dictator, and they make the rules because, again, no matter how much money you throw at, right? Like, it's a $10 million buy-in, which is not all up front. So any decent team can get that money, right? Without huge investments from like these big NBA, NFL, traditional sports teams. So it has to be a partnership. I think TSM can do it solo, but
No, they can't. They can't.
Oh, they totally can.
No, here's why. Because you're trying to do it solo, but you're competing against venture capital. So how is it going to be to retain your players when the Mavericks, with their $634 million budget a year, is bidding against you for the same players?
Because they're not going to put billions of dollars if they're only going to get $2 million in revenue.
Yeah, it's about what you pay.
Unless they really believe in the investment, like they're not looking at the short-term return on investment.
That's the thing is you're looking at it like this, like, oh well, that's just a small portion of what we would make, even just as our team. But the reality is, if you put like $11 million in or $12 million in, and you can stand to grow something to be a brand that's a franchised system for a couple of $1 million, the reality is, in 5 years, that brand may be worth $300 or $400 million, and your return on investment there, the percentage return on investment, is ludicrous, excluding all of like the synergy of owning two sports businesses, where you know, like trainers and everything else kind of can cross and do both, right? And advertising and everything else that works because you're both in kind of the field of sports as a whole.
Right.
So it doesn't matter that it's a small pool. It matters that the potential for growth on investment is huge. And so if they can rival TSM's budget, which I'm sure that any real sports team can.
Anybody.
So like now imagine that you're paying all your players 3 times the amount overnight. It's back in the venture capital days of last season where you had all these teams come in with venture capital money, but nobody trusted it. And that was the problem. Like Bjergsen's not going to leave TSM for some venture capital team that may not be here next season. But when it's franchise teams, it's who offers me the best contract.
Right. And there'll be salary caps 110%. Like I'm sure Riot will institutionalize. But like what Papa Smurf is saying is if you have somebody like Mark Cuban okay, that has openly said that he wants to join esports. He's just waiting for a chance to do that. And he buys, I don't know, 49% of Cloud9, which Jack would probably give him more if Mark Cuban was throwing him Lamborghini Murcielago money to buy his stakes. If he did that, then you would see, Mark Cuban able to import large players like, Peanut or whatever, because he's going to have people here looking into esports for him, because that's what kind of guy he is. He's smart. He looks at his investments. I'm sure he's not the only one. And they're going to be able to pull those players. So you're going to see, like, let's just say that TSM, I think I read in the chat, somebody was like, no, TSM would never do that. Reginald is like a control freak over his team, which I could totally see. And Reginald growing that, his baby up might not, but his players will end up leaving to go to other teams, just like Papa Smurf said, that are franchised, they're not leaving, and that they're able to pay their players big money. Just like you guys right now. If I was to come to you and Papa Smurf, Sam, and I was like, hey, I know you guys have this casual thing going on, but I am willing to invest in you guys, give you guys 70 or 85K a year just to do the podcast. But what I want you guys in full tuxedo mode. And this thing has got to happen at every time at this time. It's going to be a nightly thing. You guys would be like, well, shit. Yeah, you guys would be like, shit, 85K, I guess I'll do it. And so that's like small potatoes. But whenever you're offering people like Faker is like the most paid League of Legends player right now. But that's just because SKT has won championships and they have the money to pay him. Think about our adventure capitalists, like what Papa Smurf said, throwing that kind of money at players over here. I think that's going to do. Yeah, go ahead.
The reason they don't right now is because there's no safety net. I'm not investing in a team millions of dollars or paying my players $1 billion or whatever to get a locked, solid baller team that could be gone next split. Like, couldn't even make Worlds because they may not survive to Summer Split. And I mean, how many times has that happened? Look at fucking Ember. Like, they tried to do exactly this, and then the team bombed out, and it's like, but it was stupid as fuck to do that because you're in the challenger scene. So you have to win your way into a situation where you're almost justified spending that kind of money, and they spent a shitload of money on players that weren't good enough to justify those salaries. Yeah. Imagine if Ember is now in the LCS and they're locked in no matter what, and it's like, well, which team is going to Yankees out? And good luck playing against the Yankees unless you've got a seriously good fucking farm system. And guess what? There really isn't one in League right now. Yeah. And when all these other teams disappear and all these players go free agent status, because that's part of the agreement, is if your team doesn't make the LCS, we'll buy out your team. We'll buy out all the players, and it's open season on professional players. So you're going to see like a huge market of purchasable players, and people are going to be snatching up talent like crazy because it's going to be open season, and then it's also like a player's market. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you're in a player's market, and venture capital money, salaries are going to go through the fucking roof. So somebody like TSM, even TSM, better have a deep pocket friend, because as any esports organization, any team, even as rich as TSM is, will not be able to keep up with Mark Cuban money. It won't be able to keep up with Lakers
TSM
money
isn't
or
super
whatever.
rich either.
No, and that's what I'm saying. They're not.
They're the best example of
they're the best example. They're the biggest makers, but they're still not like they can't compete.
So whenever I got I'll say this, whenever I got my slide decks and stuff ready for my investors, and so this was something that we were going to do. Our League of Legends team, we were going to send a open qualifier team in, but we were going to actual contract players. So whenever I pitched this to the investor guys that were ready to do that, they were actually looking at two things. Because they were looking at long-term risk and short-term gain. So short-term gain was you get into the Challenger Series and you can sell your spot, right? Like that's the short term. Like you get in there, you sell your spot, you automatically get out, and whatever. And then the long-term goal, of course, is your immortals and stuff like that. You stay in for a while and stuff like that. But I'll tell you, whenever I was pitching that idea and I was throwing out numbers like CLG and FlyQuest and C9, I'm like, look how well these guys are doing, things like that. They were always really leery because of what Papa Smurf was saying about like that franchise system. Well, we could get kicked out. We might spend 15 to 25 grand getting these players together and then housing and stuff like that. And then in 6 months to a year, they'll be out.
Here, I'll just do this. 15 to 25 grand if they win.
Right.
And they may lose.
So that was a big if. Yeah.
So if they lose, you get nothing and you're not in the Challenger Series and you're just out the money. It's a loss.
Right.
If they win their way into the Challenger Series and you have a Challenger spot, which you can sell for like, what, 50, 100K?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've doubled my money if the team wins in the short term. And let's say I stay in the Challenger scene and that's what I'm going to do, then we lose, I'm out of the Challenger scene.
Right.
And I've lost my money again. So it's consistently rolling the dice over and over and over again. And imagine just doing that at like a roulette table.
But now they don't have to.
Well, yeah, now they don't have to. But
now they don't have to.
Before it's like, well, you had to win black. And then you had to win black again.
Right.
And, before you could even make money. It's ludicrous. And now that you have security, well,
they're going to
these
dump
spots
all kinds of money in.
The spots become exponentially more valuable because it's like the difference would be I want a loan to lease a nice car or I want a loan to buy a nice car.
Right.
Okay, I'll give you a loan to buy the car because I now have a security interest in a tangible fucking vehicle.
Right.
But if I'm going to give you money to lease a car, why would I do that? You're not the owner of it, and I have no way of getting my money back if everything goes ass backwards.
Sure. So yeah, I think that's why. But for those reasons, I guess it kind of brings my what I'm going to say full circle is I think that because of that is why we're going to see non-endemic sports teams and venture capitalists start taking the lion's share of those profits, because we think of terms of like, well, Riot's never going to do that. There's goal line defense at the touchdown and they're just not going to let anybody pass. But Riot is owned by Tencent, and Tencent is more than happy to make deals like that because they want to be as profitable as possible.
Riot is owned by Tencent, but they have non-voting shares.
Yes, but they get their injections from the Tencent board.
Sure, but I mean they're not required to follow Tencent's direction. It's just heavily suggested, and you probably should.
Yeah.
But those are non-voting shares. I mean, that's specifically the agreement they made. Is like, yeah, you can own X percentage of our company, which is more than 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't vote. We run things. You're a passive beneficiary of our business acumen or whatever. But that being said, before this gets terribly off the rails and super boring for children,
esports people,
so what I would say is I'm gonna suggest that, and this is probably not going to be well received, but the days of your Reggies and your Jacks it's over.
Yeah,
it's over.
I agree with you.
They're going to get bought out, and their team is going to be run by someone else who's ran traditional sports longer. Maybe they might get kept on in like a capacity, like you're a team manager, or you're a brand manager, or you're a COO of this esports division, and blah blah blah. But there's not going to be your owner manager anymore. It's not going to exist.
So I saw, whenever you said that, I saw Sam wince a little. Oh, I hate that idea.
No, I think no, he saved it because I think they're still on in some capacity when it comes to like running the esports team.
Yeah.
They definitely don't have they have a boss now for sure.
Oh yeah.
They have someone that they have to make decisions on that will be forced on them and stuff like that. but they can't just, you can't have this brand come in and try to run an esports org because they will fail. Because look at Team Liquid, you can't just throw money at everything and make everything fix.
No,
it doesn't work.
Actually, it did. That's how they avoided relegation.
They avoided relegation, but they're still like bottom. Like you still need a successful. There's still incentive to
that's because
do well in the,
I don't know what the fuck
league.
Team Liquid's thinking. It's like, we have this bottom tier garbage team. You know what we should do? Stick with all of our garbage players.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Okay, I don't think you can use them as an example of being like, you can't buy your way.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
they did. They bought Double Lift. They avoided relegations. But then, new problem, you didn't fix your shitballs roster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not success. These guys don't want to be a team that's 7th place every season. They want to be a team that gets 2nd place, 1st place, win the NALCS, get to Worlds. Yeah, and that's why you need someone in esports that's still involved, heavily involved.
But wait,
so it won't be like
Wait, let me inject real quick. Let me hop in here. So there's 2 ways to do this now that franchising is a thing. So we've kind of talked about the negative. Now a good thing kind of segues into what Sam's talking about. And Papa Smurf, you'll probably agree with me on this, is so another way to do this is to make an interesting and compelling marketing campaign for your brand. So, which I feel is kind of what Steve does.
That's what Echo Fox did.
And I feel like that's what Echo Fox does. So there's 2 ways, but that can also be really interesting for us, right? Because like now we actually get to follow players. We get to know a little bit more about them. Rivalries can create, except for TSM and CLG. I've heard that stupid rivalry so many times. It's like me like reading the same story to my kid. I'm like, okay, I get it. TSM. Like, but like we can start creating like narratives, which is what like other sports teams have, is like the Yankees hates the Red Sox, you know, the Cowboys hates the Redskins. What about what's his name? What about
is that a true rivalry?
That's 100% a true rivalry.
We play them. Not good.
We play them every year. Wait, check this out. Get this.
Like the Darkin versus the white guy.
We play the Washington Redskins every Thanksgiving. No shit. We play the Redskins every Thanksgiving.
That doesn't seem like a good idea. Who in
it happens
PR
every year.
Cleared this
every year? Like, probably Jerry Jones. He's super racist.
And it doesn't matter what the score is. The Cowboys always win.
It's true.
But no, okay. So back to this. But what, I do have a point there that I have a point there of what Sam said, that like, well, you still need those esports guys, but then Team Liquid is a perfect example of why those guys are replaceable. Because Steve is making terrible fucking decisions with the amount of venture capital that he's been given. Like, they have all the money in the world, but he's not buying a roster that can compete.
Well, I think Steve just made bad decisions. I think he has good intentions. I think he tried, and then I think he's in the League of Legends team. Right. And the rest of esports, Team Liquid's doing great. I think Team Liquid is like the pioneer of a lot of things. They're the first team to bring in imports. They're the first team to like have like an off, like all these things. So I think Team Liquid as an org is actually good. I think they need to give up Piglet so they can actually revamp their League of Legends roster, because I think that's a big crutch for their team. But they struck out and made risks, and then they didn't pay off.
To be fair, though, why would you believe in Steve at this point? Like, and here's the thing. I met Steve. I like Steve. He's a very cool guy, and I wish his decisions had panned out. But if I'm an investor and I'm like going to contribute, you know, the kind of money that it's going to take to be competitive with your brand new, I can acquire anybody roster, like, I'm not going to look at Steve and be like, yeah, you've got years of experience making it to, at best, 4th place. And, by the way, you've been in the toilet for the last like 2-3 seasons.
But
So
his marketing is so ingenious. Like his marketing is like being in marketing, like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
But
Like
how
he
many?
He
sells.
find someone that
But
does
if
the League
you
of
need
Legends roster
somebody,
better.
if
It's
you
a partner,
need
a better
somebody,
partner.
like you don't need a guy who can do marketing. There are marketing majors that can do marketing. You need a guy who does esports. Like that's
I
what
don't
you
know.
need. You
There's
need
plenty of
that
people
guy.
that do bad marketing.
Whoever's doing FlyQuest marketing needs to get beat over the head with a stick.
Whoever made
'cause
up
it's
the
terrible.
name FlyQuest
Yes.
needs to be
Whoever
beat over
made
the head
those
with a
jerseys
stick.
should be strangled with what?
Oh,
they're
what about an
terrible.
eyeball with wings? Everybody can relate to that. Like, no, nobody can. What the fuck is this creature? Like, this is not. And secondly, that neither makes me think of flying nor quests. That makes me think
It
of
would.
like
Made me think
the
that I need to go to the
shittiest.
optometrist.
Yeah, it's like the shittiest level 1 monster on like the world's worst RPG game.
Wasn't
Why
there
am I
a
rooting
Monster
for
Rancher
you?
character named Suezo, and he had an eyeball and just wings?
That monster looks familiar. There are something that.
It's very familiar. Or the Final Fantasy character, he
There
had the
is, I
eyeball.
think, there's
There's a
something like
bunch
that.
of them.
No, the Final Fantasy character, it has like legs though. It like actually looks more menacing than the FlyQuest thing, because it also has like a mouth and one eye,
Yeah.
and has little
Makes sense.
like little tiny wings that do this.
Yeah.
You know? So,
So,
but yeah, no, it's fucking terrible. It's a terrible brand.
but like I said, but he has a genius marketing person.
Yeah, but I mean,
marketing's
so-
not easy, man.
But if you're gonna be
there's
like,
so many
man,
bad people
do
that
I
do
bring in the
marketing."
guy who does marketing for the fucking Mavericks or the or the Chiefs or the Redskins or well, not the Redskins.
Exactly.
You know what?
You need
Definitely
them to
not
do
the Redskins.
branding.
You leave that guy the fuck alone, and you're like,
You know
no, like you pick up a different guy like the guy who does the Bucks or something. Oh, because he's really good at marketing.
You know what? Here's the
Why
thing.
am I keeping the dude from?
You
why am I
made
keeping
you
Steve?
made an awesome correlation, and you didn't even realize it.
Oh, I know it.
So
Tell me what I did, and I'll tell you I know all about it.
Team Liquid, and the Mavericks have the exact same marketing strategy. Do you remember when the Mavericks before Dirk Nowitzki, the Mavericks were garbage. Nobody had rooted for the Mavericks since 1982. It was absolutely terrible. But what they did was they had a problem roster. Right, Jason Kidd. Do you remember who Jason Kidd was?
Mhm.
Jason Kidd played for the Mavericks, and he was like a bad boy. Does that ring any bells?
Yes.
Bells?
Yes.
Okay, so they had a bad boy, and they were showed him not getting along with the team and having a lot of problems.
So
And
it's
so
Matt.
they-
Is it Matt?
So they had Jason Kidd. They had a lot of problems, and they grossed a lot of Jason Kidd merchandise. Then the next thing they did was Dallas Mavericks training camp, and it was all over NBC and stuff like that. And I feel like Steve Arnett watched an old episode and was like, yeah, that'll work right there, because the next year they had enough money to buy Dirk Nowitzki. What was the other guy's name?
Lorlo.
Doesn't matter. Their point guard, their new point guard, and they had an awesome, and they won. They won that year. They won the trophy.
Ooh, and that's where it falls apart.
And that's where it falls apart.
I guess it's not too late. Can they make playoffs?
It's
No.
not too late. It's never
No.
too
Probably too
late.
Nah. See, so they kind of went all in. If you go over to Team Liquid's YouTube channel, they've got Breaking Point, and then whatever their season, it's called New Start or New Beginnings or some
They had
garbage
their cooking show thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's where you bring in those big brands to do the marketing.
Yeah.
You're right. But when it comes to managing the team and being an esports organization,
Get rid of Loco
these
Deco.
guys don't know how to do it. They're 45, 50-year-old guys
No.
that last thing they played was Pac-Man.
Yeah,
or Candy Crush on their
Yeah,
phone.
I don't think you
Which I
really
agree.
need. It's the thing. I don't think you need esports.
Unless you get someone
experience.
like Rick Fox, which
I
is
don't
a
think you
diamond.
need esports experience to do marketing. I don't think you
No,
do.
you're correct. You're correct. They
Like-
need to teach the guys how to speak.
They need to
how do
hire a
interviews
good
and-
coach, and then they need to use the same people that they use for the NBA for every fucking thing else, and then
Yeah.
just sub out from coaching below needs to be esports people.
Well-
and that's it. That's all you got to
Well,
do.
you're assuming. I think you're putting too much on the coach. You need a team manager and
Well, there's a
general
coach
manager,
below,
those
some
kind
staff, you know. like
Yeah,
staff
yes,
dudes.
I totally agree. And when it comes to branding and like teaching your players, like this is how you do an interview. This is how you tell your story. We're gonna make this
We need
story, or
that
we're gonna
so
make this
bad.
video. That's where you're absolutely right, Blake. You need that from experienced people, marketers, and stuff like that. And there's a few
Yeah.
talents
Well, it's like,
in
hey,
esports that can
maybe
do that,
guys, maybe we
like One Up
don't make a
Studios,
movie called.
ever.
Yeah, it's like let's don't make a movie called Boiling Point that roasts the fuck out of our players,
No, that
and
was
then
brilliant.
release that,
Nah,
and
I
then
That
like
was
earn
it.
our
brilliant.
players.
That
I
was
think it's good.
brilliant. I
I
need
don't.
I get so like
I am
like
not gonna sign up for
bored.
anything with Ever because there's gonna be like a roast video.
Well,
Because
it's just
we sent this fucker to New Zealand and there's nothing there. Boiling Point with Wise Papa Smurf when he figures out
it
he's
would
on a
be.
sheep farm in New Zealand.
Would you not watch that?
I
I'd
would.
watch the
I would
shit out
watch
of
the
that.
shit out of
See?
that, and I would be
See?
really pissed off about it. And then it's
See?
I
like,
mean, look at the TSM documentaries with like the whole like chaos.
Yes.
Well, the chaos one was a
Yes.
huge big deal, right?
Because
I
you
mean,
have to have a narrative, like
yes.
to give a shit
there would be a
about
follow-up
players.
video from me called like Freezing Point, where I walk in and punch you in the face when I get off the plane from New Zealand. It's just me knocking on your door. Hey, can I help you? Ow!
Hey,
Fuck! Like that's for sending me to New Zealand, bitch. I'm
I'd
going
watch
back
it
to
though.
Castle.
I'd watch it over. I'd be like, 1,000,000 views on this.
Yeah.
He did it. He came all the way back. He had to raise
So-
30 sheep to get the money to fly back because
So
Ever pulled the cord.
one thing I want to talk about, which is kind of, I guess, near and dear to my heart as a content creator, and I'm sure Ever you can relate to this too, is like, so 5 years, 10 years from now, when everything has been like situated and things are running smoothly, I don't think people that are 18-year-olds that are like creating YouTube channels and like really want to get into esports organizations, all this stuff, I don't know if there are jobs available for those guys anymore. Like you can't have these just like grind hard amateur people that want to get involved in this kind of stuff when it's people that are professionals now that have been going to school forever to do this stuff.
So,
Do you agree with
yeah,
that?
so that is kind of near and dear to my heart. And I kind of, I tell you what, I would have agreed with you 110% 4 weeks ago.
Okay,
And
I'm
and
glad
the
to hear that.
yeah, and the reason that I don't is because Yahoo Esports, who has quite a bit of money, Yahoo has quite a bit of money to pump into their esports division, closed up shop.
But that's not because that's because the direction of the new company, they just didn't want to
Omen.
do that. Yeah, Omen. They just didn't want to do it, right? That's at least what's been told.
So yes and no, because yes, while that's very true, then you would have the success of that would mean that Travis Gifford, Kelsey Moser, and some of those other
Emily
people would
Rand.
be picked up. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would get picked up somewhere, right? Like that's
Mhm.
kind of what canceled shows that usually have a lot of viewership and revenue attention would do is they would get picked up somewhere else. And there's been other situations where I've seen other channels try to pop up and then they just don't have enough marketing growth and know-how to want to appeal
Okay.
to people that comes back.
Man, I hate to do it because I like, homegrown talent.
Sure.
But here's the thing, and this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. Travis, for example, like he is very plugged into the esports scene.
Right.
If he disappeared tomorrow, I don't think a lot of people would care.
Nope.
Because his interviews are awkward and clunky and have been for years and don't really cover relevant data. But if you got somebody that's like the ESPN guys that do basketball or football or generate hype that are names, right? That are people that are quality journalists that can swoop into esport and that be their given assignment, then you're going to have higher quality interviews, better production value, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which will come with these franchise teams. So unless they can solidify themselves as a brand,
Right.
and basically they need to turn their their intense connection with the scene into an establishment and quick, then they're going to phase out because people are just going to go to the better produced material that's going to naturally gravitate with big name teams and organizations and groups coming in, because it's like if you've got the Lakers or somebody buys an esports team, then you can bet ESPN will be tagged like, hey, ESPN, why don't you do something about our esports team? Why don't you come and interview our esports team?
Yeah.
Right? That'll happen, and they'll do it because it's the fucking Lakers asking them.
So here's the thing, though. I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, and I don't think I drove this home enough. But so I worked with a person that had been in marketing for like 6 years whenever we were doing dark wave gaming. And she came in and was trying to kind of market esports. And the thing is, and from just having a marketing background myself, traditional marketing and esports marketing are so different. They're so different. And that's why you see people like Travis and Kelsey and all them like having some degree of success, because they really apply to esports audiences, which typically aren't very, like, they don't care about vanity a lot.
Okay, I disagree. Streamer girls.
Okay, so...
And if you had one of those doing interviews, it would be over.
Yes, that is very true, which is why Shocks at the EU is so popular. But those are very far between in the esports scene now. But what you're saying,
how many of those girls work for ESPN? Give me one, like, not hot commentator.
So,
but they're good.
Yes,
yeah, and they're good. That's what I'm saying. So you're going to have good hot commentators, or like very charismatic guys or very charismatic girls. It doesn't matter, but you can appeal to those same demographics with that same hook.
Better, actually. I would say better, but the problem is kind of what I was saying about the marketer. So she's been in it. She's done it longer than, we have, right? So she's been in marketing. She's done it for a very long time. She's produced hundreds of marketing campaigns. The thing is our culture is so unique, and the things that we talk about, our mannerisms, our language, our lingo, like, it is so different that you would have to have one of those individuals at esports that actually takes the time and that has lived inside the culture, that has hopped on a Twitch chat, that is memed, that knows what the fuck Reddit is.
But that can be purchased for cheap.
It can, but name one that you know of now that does that.
The opportunity doesn't exist yet. I'm saying it's going to come with venture capital, that people are going to want to buy in. They're like, they recognize that they don't have the expertise in the scene. But the scene is also young, and Travis is also unemployed. So you go, hey, Travis Gafford, we could temporarily use your name to boost our own group. We're going to make a reporting group on esports, like kind of like Yahoo did, except instead of it being Yahoo, it's ESPN. Oh, and also, Travis, this person's going to work with you for a while, and then once that charismatic person learns the scene, all right, thanks, Travis, see you later, and you now have no relevance, no expertise for sale, and you're gone. That's what's going to happen.
That's the thing. You train up Travis. You train up Travis to be a professional. You don't
he doesn't
train
have
all the way
skill.
around.
The ceiling is not high enough. That's what I'm telling you. Like, he
You're
has
talking
the
about like
relationships.
technical skills.
I'm talking about technical skills. I'm talking about like
you're trying to have someone with technical skills and give them the personality that they need, or the knowledge, or the experience from like being a gamer that they need, rather than taking someone that has that personality, that has that raw, like, moldable clay figure or whatever, and then giving them, like, sharpening their...
Hold on. No, what I'm saying is you can learn sports theory, but you can't learn being more attractive, which is important in any visual medium, and you can't learn charisma. You can improve charisma. You cannot learn it. There's always going to be a ceiling.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
Ernie will never get sarcasm.
Right. But at the same time, there are people within the scene right now that I guess so. The point that I'm trying to get, and maybe Sam's probably trying to get to the same point, is ESPN right now does not have a guy within their ESPN department that can transition over to esports. It is going to have to take an esports personality that's already here, that has a lot of those qualities that you're talking about, to get employed by ESPN.
Okay, what I'm saying is here's the natural evolution of big business and how it rolls into these situations, right? Is they go, okay, we're going to start a gold mine. Hey, native 49er with your mule, teach us how you gold mine. Okay, great. So now we're going to purchase we've had our guy be taught how to gold mine. Now we're going to purchase a gold mine and then improve on your methods entirely and then make you irrelevant.
Right.
As we produce way the fuck more gold than you.
So
because
my
we can
concern
operate on a
about
different
this
scale.
is that I think, like Ever said, we have a really unique community or niche too. Like the gaming industry works very different from other industries. It's sure there's some commercialization of it, and some companies like a lot of companies aren't like Riot. But then even with the gaming community, I think like these companies will try to fake it, and then the community will smell it right away.
Yeah,
they'll smell the BS.
That was the problem. That was the problem with my marketer friend. That like she would try to produce a campaign, and then the esports community would be like, "That smells like bullshit. I'm gonna call it bullshit," and then they just completely turned themselves off from the campaign entirely.
And you see that on YouTube channels where you have like an attractive girl like presenting like the esports stuff, and you're like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just like the pretty face. And then you have someone like Avali, who's like Travis's understudy, and everyone loves her because she actually knows what she's talking about, and she has a nice personality, and she looks attractive. Or like Shox, right?
Shox and Deficio are the prime examples of kind of what esports wants,
but that's what I'm getting at is that is big business developing those people for that purpose, and that's why like Riot's casting squad is way the fuck better than anything else that you're gonna put out to, That's what it is, because you've got a big enough company backing them and making it viable that's a thing, right? I don't think you would ever see, and this is not that it's the same thing, but somebody like Travis get on Riot's casting desk.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
From the time I saw Yahoo News.
He has his own niche, well,
sure he is. I'm not saying like he's got
to be a writer.
As
long as I don't have to see you, Travis.
Like I mean, here's the thing. Like this thing. I was watching Travis, Kelsey Moser, Emily Rand. Is that it?
Emily Rand and Mark Z.
What's the guy over at ESPN Esports?
And Fiona on Fire.
No, not him. He's decent. The other guy. It's
then I don't. That's the only one I know because he was the only one that's decent.
I'll tell you, like, it's Thorin.
That I remember at least.
Thorin and that one dickhead I hate. That breaks all
Richard Lewis.
Yes, I hate that fucker. Anyway, Thorin and that guy, they're gone because they're not professional enough to live in the scene. It doesn't matter that they have independent contacts. They'll fade out as esports becomes less Wild West because they have too much baggage.
Sure.
But I mean, that being said, like I was watching Kelsey Moser is like talking to a librarian. Travis,
man, it's painful.
It really is, but she's brilliant and she knows everything of what she's talking about. But you can't have that kind of camera presence, which is none, and do your job in that way. Right? So that being said, she'll die out. Emily Rand, Mark Z has the chops.
Yeah, Mark Z can do it.
He's charismatic enough. He knows what he's talking about enough that he could and should be picked up by somebody who's trying to get into this field as an expert and as a stage presence that could last. You've got your Deficio kind of guy there, right? He's your NA Deficio. What I'm saying is, all the people who are relevant in the scene because they put in sweat equity and because people are brand loyal to them, because who else is really doing what Travis does? Who can afford to do what Travis does except Travis? Like, he's built on being like a snowball of, I provide content, this is what the people were looking for. But when companies can afford to do that, just the quality of the content.
I still think they'll contract. I think they'll contract, like Sam, kind of what Sam is saying. I think they'll contracting a person that has lived within the scene that's attractive enough that has social.
No, that's what I said too. Is that what you're gonna do is they're gonna be generation one.
No, you didn't, Papa Smurf. I'm causing
controversy. No, fuck, I didn't. That was your minor with the mule. That was a miner with a mule, the analogy that I just made. That guy gets phased out. We have a much better system now.
It's not
Peace
what I
out,
heard.
miner
I
with a mule.
I think we're actually all on the same page.
I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we are.
Those guys are just going to fade.
And here's the thing.
relics,
I'm
and
ready
it's
for
sad.
it. I'm ready for it.
I honestly, I think
because-
it's sad, and I think it's a shitty way to repay somebody's hard work is just to watch them die. But
Well, ultimately, you
that's
got to be
what's
good
gonna
enough.
happen.
That's it. That's like
You got to be
that's
good
just
enough,
market.
and you
It's a
have to
marketplace.
understand that you're going to have to appeal to a mass audience. I can't, and I haven't been able. I've been very choosy as to who I get people that are trying to invest into esports, that are skeptical in esports, that have money. They want to invest into something. It's a growing market, but I have a hard time showing them content sometimes on a larger scale of people like Kelsey Moser, like you said, with Travis, with these awkward ass interviews where you're just like cringing, and like I'm showing them like, no, this is esports media. They're gonna be like, this is esports media.
Is undeveloped.
Like,
this
is not good. You know what I mean? Like it has this adolescent kind of mentality.
Well,
and you're
coming in to buy a gun, and I'm showing you a slingshot.
That's right. So and to be honest, I'm going to be kind of happy when those things start to develop, like kind of what we're talking about, because in that way, we're going to be able to kind of be able to watch it and get people uninterested in esports or that have never been into esports. And that's exciting for us because it just is.
And it's going to bring in more talent, right? You're going to have all these gamer kids that are 14 like being like, wait, I could be a reporter and make money. Actually, like I can make a decent living and I don't have to starve for the next 15 years after I graduate college and to do esports. Like now there's money behind it. I can make a living on it. And then you bring in talent that wouldn't have been there anyway. And I think the tough thing is like, it's now going to be harder to be successful in that field. But that just means like, if I want to do that, I have to up my game. If these small content creators want to do it, they have to up their game. I think that's ultimately what it is.
Possible. That's the problem.
Yeah. You don't think it's possible? No, I think it's possible. It's just not like, I think everyone's expecting it like, I worked hard for 1 year.
Yeah.
All right, where is it? I don't see it. No, you put in 6 years of effort because you didn't go to college to do it. You take all that time being really, really good at what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a super to get where I am in my career. It's not like I graduated college and then I stepped out and I was just making tons of money. You know what I mean? Like you have to, if you're going to not pursue that at a education level, then you have to pursue it, you know, through blood, sweat, and tears. You know what I mean? Like you have to grind it. I think that's another problem, and it's probably for a different conversation that we have in esports, which is like this, like instant gratification, which is a completely different conversation.
Yeah, that's a long one.
Yeah.
All right. I think we should probably wrap up this episode though, since it's gone.
long.
What a community episode this was.
Yeah.
Hey, this is not supposed to involve our listeners. It's supposed to involve the people in the league community.
That's it.
We really kind of wrapped that one around, huh?
We're switching things up.
Close the loop on that. Like, hey, remember when we said the word community?
Hey, here's for the community.
Gotcha,
so I told
bitches.
you guys originally that I would tell you guys and give you guys an exclusive as to what I've been working on. I'll wrap it up in 5 minutes. So what I've done is, so me and some of the investors have kind of went around the DFW area and kind of contacted a lot of these small amateur organizations from across the nation. And what we're going to be doing is there's we've seen a missing piece in the scene, which is this top-down perspective, like the 10% that we kind of pay attention to, and then the other 90% that play. So we're actually going to create a piece of software that actually corrals those people up, and it's going to be this giant database where people can go and start connecting and players connecting with teams connecting with players, and tournaments connecting with both, to kind of help that system out a bit, and we're going to start. We're going to primarily do it. We're going to have a first grassroots marketing campaign in Texas, and you're going to see Ever Esports events and like esports center kind of things like we're kind of talking about just now, which is probably why I had so much to say about it. End up in Dallas, and then we have a plan to move it into Austin, and then from Austin to San Antonio, and then lastly to Houston, and that'll kind of all tie in. And TCU, Texas Tech, UNT, those kind of teams have kind of been introduced and on board, and we're going to start our first in Q1 of 2018 in Ohio, and then another in Q2 or Q1 in Dallas, and it's going to be an Overwatch tournament on like a brand scale. And we've
wow.
So
we've kind of contacted.
You're gonna develop like good scouting database software. And
That's
then
right.
Get it out to teams. That's a brilliant idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we've been wanting to do, and that's probably why we haven't spaced everything out. But we've got a slide deck, and the investors are all in, and we've LLC'd the whole thing, and so we're very, very excited about that. So that's a little info for you guys, and also for my teammates that have joined that have been wondering what I was up to. So now it's all kind of worth it.
Ta-da!
There you go.
Exclusive, man.
Man. It's
That's
gonna be awesome.
Exciting.
So that also means that you guys will be able to, like help us cover the events and things like that, because, you'll have a lot of the inside information, right? So doing podcasts on our events and stuff like that is going to be something that we advocate to content creators and stuff like that. We want we've reached out to the Game House to have some of their writers, things like that. We want people talking about the events and kind of creating that narrative for the players and stuff like that. We want to be able to give content creators a place to kind of be able to talk to those people that are playing in the tournaments and stuff like that. And so it really helps out media.
Yeah, if we can help you in any way, let us know.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And,
that's exciting.
Next time you want to come on the podcast, I'm going to try not to make the turnaround time like 2.5 months. little side apology. That was intentional that we took that long. It just
we're waiting for the good news to hit.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah,
Jesus.
That's awesome.
Like, for some reason, it came up. I was like, yes, let's do this. This is always fun. I like this idea. When are we gonna do it? I don't know.
All right, radio silence for a month.
Yeah.
Hey,
let's do that thing. Yeah, that's so awesome.
So,
awesome.
Anyway, sorry about that. Please don't take that personally. We actually like
Never.
you.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's good. I didn't even blow in the mic there. I thought about it.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
We might edit that in.
Yeah.
I missed those 2 swishes. Can you put that in there?
You put that in?
All right.
Well, next time you guys want have me back on, I love being on the show. You guys are a pleasure to talk to. We always pull it back in and discuss awesome topics. So thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever, you want to plug your stuff again?
Yeah, man. I definitely do. Everybody that can, to make sure you follow us on Ever Esports GG. Make sure you follow all my guys, the League of Legends guys, the Overwatch guys, our new streamers. Make sure and follow me. I'm at the Clever Ever. And make sure you check out all of our social media. We got the Twitch thing. It's all Ever Esports. YouTube is Ever Esports GG. Facebook Ever Esports GG, and Instagram is Ever Esports GG. So come check us out.
We'll have those links in the episode description if you want to check those out as well. So, all right, so that is it. Again, thank you, Danny or Ever, for being here this night. And have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Guys.